Okay, this time I will. This time I will. This time I will speak in English. My little bit broken English. It will be just fine. Don't worry. But the advice is to speak slowly, and everyone will understand. There might be even captions below. So I made a few videos about Blender, but for my native language, for my local area. This time I will try to do it in English. I see many people are interested, and maybe I can, if anyone wants to try to learn Blender, maybe I can help. So there are tons of tutorials and videos about Blender on YouTube. There are probably millions of Blender tutorials for beginners on YouTube, and many times more advanced than what I will show you. But I think I have something. I may teach you something that others don't, and maybe my concept of learning is a bit different than from other guys. So this is Blender. This is the view you get when you open the application. Application you open when you download it from Blender. You look for Blender.org. Here it is. Its latest one is Blender 4. Blender 4. You download this and you will get this. This is the same Blender Splash. This is the one. And here you can see the basic default cube everyone loves, because it opens all the time whenever you start Blender. Now you will need to get around in applications to know what to do. This is here on the left side is basic toolbar, but you don't actually have to use this. You will use it, but my point is to teach you to start learning to use shortcuts immediately. Maybe to get around and to get to know some software, maybe you should try opening its preferences. When you install Blender, he will ask you at the end of the installation, or on the very start of the program, he will ask you a few things. How would you like to set up Blender for the first time? What you like to do? Would you like to select objects with the left or right mouse? Are you coming from other 3D software like 3D Studio Max? But I suggest you to leave that all to be default, and to learn the Blender way of using the software. If you have some good GPU like NVIDIA RTX. Here you can set whether it will use CUDA or optics. I suggest optics. CUDA sounds nice. I also suggest you to make at least 100 undo steps, because if you're a beginner and as you learn it, you will make a lot of mistakes, and often those mistakes can be fixed with undo. So you don't have to touch anything else here in program, in preferences. It will be just fine for you. Okay, have a look at these little balls, spheres, to understand what's going on here. What you see is your 3D viewport, and now what you see is mode called flat shading. It's just enough for you to start, but better than that is viewport shading, which will preview you some textures if you have it. And the last one is full quality shading, which is the best, but not necessarily the best, especially if you have a render engine set as EV. EV is new and really nice viewport renderer or full renderer and render engine. It can do a lot of things. It's extremely fast, and it is really good looking, but it's not completely realistic. It's not so precise. It has some of its options are ambient occlusion and bloom, and you should have that turned on if you work with EV. EV will be just nice. As I said, it's not realistic, it's not ray trace engine, but it has good results. So let's start selecting things. In Blender you select with the right click mouse and move object with left click mouse. You can also move with right, but this is the way. So another way is you can work almost without the mouse, but not really almost, is to have object selected, press G, and now you move it. Press G and press X, now you move your object on X axis. Press G, press Epsilon, now it's up and down, and same goes for Z axis. That's the thing it's best for you to remember. Other properties of your object are here on this little yellow or orange box. You can see transformation done to your object. You can also do it here. For example, if you want to move this 100 units of Blender meters, there it goes. You can also rotate your object here, like this, and each of these parameters are keyable, and you can do animation. Those are these little dots by the side. When you create object, it has some certain scale. It's scale 1 unit. I don't really care about these Blender units, meter. I don't. If I want to make a small matchbox, which is like 3 centimeters, that means I have to make object like this, and that's okay, but I just don't do it that way. For me, these are some imaginary units. They are meters. I don't care. You could care. I don't. Let's try to rotate. Press R on keyboard, press X, you rotate it. With your mouse, of course, but you use shortcuts to access transformations. Rotate it by epsilon. Okay, undo. You can also press R, epsilon, Y, and add input on your numerical keyboard, for example, like 45. This is much more precise way to rotate or transform things. Press R and press Z45, or make it go away. Sorry. So the idea of working in any 3D software, including Blender, is that you have a 3D object and you edit that 3D object. In Blender, you can see that when you create a new object, it is in object mode. So this box is in object mode. You can enter edit mode. Once you enter edit mode, shortcut is tab, and you need to get used to this, because this is the way how it works. You can then access three main things that forms a 3D object in 3D world. Those are vertices, edges, and faces. With manipulating those, you can create anything you want. Shortcuts are, I think, one. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work anymore. It worked before. That's why I don't like newer versions, because they change something. In edit mode, you can also see there are lots of other things. You can still use move, rotate, and scale, but then it will apply to your selected to your selection while you're in edit mode. So you can scale, but now you're scaling just this face. You can rotate, but now you're rotating just this selected face, which is one way to deform an object. You have this annotate, I don't use it. You can use measure, I don't use it. You can add more stuff to your primitive I also don't use it. But remember that once you're in edit mode, and if you add something to your object, it will be part of it. So we don't want it, we want to remove it. I will explain this later, how I did this. This is important for you. I don't want them, I want just this object. And here we come to the main part of life of all beginners in Blender. It's those extrude, inset, bevel, loop cut, extremely powerful loop cut, and knife tools. There is also polygon skill, and I don't care about those. I almost don't use it. What I use the most is extrude, inset, bevel, and loop cuts, sometimes knife. What does extrude? What extrudes do? It extrudes your face. Press E on keyboard. It extrudes your face along normals, or the way those axes, 3D axes selected. It can extrude in many ways. Sometimes you will need to change those. It can extrude region, which is default. This is the region. Now it goes all the way. If you press this yellow little dot with plus sign, it will extrude the region. It can extrude along normals, which is the same thing. It can extrude individual, and this is important. Let's select simple default extrude. We now want to extrude these three faces we have. But if we click extrude, they go its own way. You can even extrude towards your cursor. If you select extrude individual, now they will extrude as each individual face on their own, and that's important. What does inset faces do? Inset faces, or I on keyboard, does just like that. It insert your selected faces. So sometimes my mouse is side. Be sure to have your mouse a bit further away from your object, so you don't get the same weird behavior like I do. So a bit away from object. Press I on keyboard, insert face. Now, combination of extrude and insert face is already me again. Is already something you can work with. You can start. You can build little pyramids, or you can just extrude the hell of it and insert the hell of it. Inset can do also other things. Press I on keyboard and try to insert, and you will insert these two selected faces as one. But if you press it once again, press I once again, now it inserts each face as an individual face. You can also then use extrude again and insert again and extrude again. Sorry. Extrude individual, not that one. Insert again, extrude again, insert again. Okay, edit mode, object mode, edit mode. Now what is this? Bevel. Also very important and useful tool. It bevels edges. If you have edge you want to bevel, you use bevel. Like this. I selected these edges with a right click and shift. I can do it again. And I use bevel. And it's a good bevel. Let's not do this. It's a nice bevel. Don't forget, most important thing in creation, in working in Blender, when you use some tool and something will appear here at the bottom, this is important. If you use it once and click somewhere else, it will go away. But if you don't click it, you can open this dialog. This is your bevel operation. And here you can see how bevel behaves. It has some width. You can also add segments. And you can adjust other important stuff for bevel, but let's not overdo it. If you're a beginner, you'll just sorry. My daughter wants something. If you add segments, you have this smooth shape. And that's the logic in all 3D software. I will delete this now. If you use Shift A to add 3D object primitives, curves, and if you add a sphere and it has just 6 of these, it will look like this. Segments, 6 rings, it's like this. It's one ugly sphere. So, same thing with roundness of your bevel edges with a lot of segments applies here to 3D object to work. It needs a lot of segments. 32. Now it's better, but we still can see these faces. That's normal. You don't overdo this. You can, but you don't, because you don't want to have billions of faces if you don't need them. You just turn off Shade Auto Smooth. 32 segments for sphere is sometimes just nice, just enough. If you go into edit mode, you can see a sphere. I wanted to tell you something, let's not. Okay, you can add objects. A lot of already pre-made primitives, plain, important. Cube, same cube, it was a starting problem. Mesh circle, this is not 2D object, this is 3D circle, but we will get into that later. UV sphere, ecosphere, cylinder, and other primitives. One thing important to learn in Blender, and to learn it as soon you start working with it, is that you have this 3D cursor, and you can put it anywhere on a scene where you click, and you often click accidentally and move your 3D cursor, so it goes away. It's important to learn how to position that cursor back on the origin of your scene. It's called align cursor to world origin, or you just press Shift S, and there you have an option, cursor to world origin. And it's this world origin, this is where it all starts at 0, 0, 0. A new object you add, new primitive you add, it will be added on that cursor. So it's important to know where your cursor is. Plane will be added. Let's not forget this little black panel. I hope they change it in future, because this is they show it here like it's some temporary thing that will go away, but this is important thing in Blender, and it will go away. Soon you create your object, stop with your primitive creation editing, it goes away, and there's no more that little black dialog. Shift A, cube, you add cube. Here you can also set size for cube. You don't have segments like you have for this here, and you can move it. Here its location. It's 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter, so I move it z-axis, move it by half a meter, and now it's sitting on the ground, that cube. Now, important thing to mention, and even to professionals, and I will write it to Blender idea suggestions in Blender forums where they develop Blender, is how I am annoyed with coordinate system, where my Y, this is Y axis, it's up, but we see when we created our cube, this is up, Z is up. So I will tell them to stop doing this, because it's stupid, because I move this by y-axis, and now this I move by y-axis, but here it's x, here it's z-axis. So please sort your things, don't confuse beginners with this stupid thing. Let it be Z or let it be Y, I don't care. I don't care why is that, it's not important, it's just stupid. Okay, that's stupid. You as my beginner, you will know this, and you will not be confused by this stupidity. You will always move your object like that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not. Now, why is like this? Z is like this. If I press Z, it's like this. Okay, forget about it. Place it on the floor. Another important thing I will teach my newbies, beginners, is that this here is scale, and it's people just love to scale things. People would want to have this cube taller, and they will scale it up, and that's okay. Here, I scale it up. Now you have it's okay. Let it be 4. Here 2. I scaled up my box, and now it's on some kind of monument pillar. Now beginners would like to do bevel, and they will get this result. And people, beginners who don't like to watch YouTube tutorials or read help documentation will go to Reddit, and they will ask people to help them, because why is this like this? I want it to be like that. The thing is, you scaled your object by 1 axis, okay? And before you do some operation like bevel on it, you have to apply your transformation. And you do that by Ctrl A. Ctrl A. Here you can see you can apply a lot of things, and this is a bit confusing part of Blender. Why am I applying something? But just forget it and apply all transforms. And now your scale of your object will be again 1, 1, 1. Even if it's 4 times taller than 1. Think about this. This is not in meters anymore. Think about this as, I don't know, maybe they will just delete this thing. I can't even explain, suggest you what to think of it. It's scale 1, 1, 1, and it's always 1, 1, 1. If you scale your object by 2 and it's 2 and then it's not good, scale it back to 1, 1, 1, and then it's good. It's nonsense. I will suggest that to them to remove it. It's how Blender works. Now you can apply your bevel edges. Let's not forget, you can apply bevel on edges like this. Now it's normal, nice bevel. See? As a beginner, don't forget this important little thing, and later call for help on Reddit. As you bevel something, you get to a certain point where it can't bevel anymore. You see? Maybe this is that point. Let's try. You came to end of bevel, which is pretty logical, right? So keep in mind this. It's like in real world, if you have sharp edge and you want to remove it, you will remove material, and at some points you will not have enough or any more material to remove. People often create some complex geometry they want to bevel, but they can't do a bevel more than Blender can do. Blender offers clamp, overlap. If you continue, you will have overlap. That's not good geometry, that's something wrong. So that's that thing about bevel. Other thing, I will just merge these. Sorry, not like this. To show you another thing. Now I have this big sharp. You can also bevel vertices. Let's do it again. This is also weird thing in Blender, because you want to bevel this, but there is not yet that little dialog where you can set your bevel parameters. It will show once you do bevel, but here you can't bevel anything. You want to bevel just this one vertex. So you click and pull and nothing happens. Don't be confused, sometimes it's the way you do. That's the way how you do. There are no edges, you have vertex selected, and its most important thing for you is to get to this bevel line. Here you can press vertices, and now you can bevel your vertices as you like. You can also add segments which will smooth this bevel, and it's really nice. But it's important, that's important thing to know, as you will be my beginner. I will guide you through all these beginner's traps, and there will not be trap for you. You will soon become a full Blenderer, and you will laugh to those beginners who do those beginners mistakes. Now you may notice I did something with those vertices. Let's go back to these vertices. So we know we can select them. I select with Shift right click. This is the same thing as edge selected. So when you move to edge, it will look like that. Now you have 4 of these selected. You can also scale them. You can also rotate them if you want. And moving vertices, adding vertices, moving edges, moving faces is the way how you model 3D objects in Blender. So let's scale them a little bit more. And let's scale these a little bit more. Now we have some models with sharp edges. Let's do another thing. Here are powerful tools in Blender called modifiers. In version 4, you click here and you get nothing. That's something I hate, and that's why I don't use version 4. I don't want this. I click it, modifiers, and there is nothing but modifiers, add modifier button. This is stupid. This is waste of space. That's why I use old Blender 3.6. I will show you. come on, open. Okay, Blender 3.6 also has this completely empty space, unnecessary empty space, but it shows all my modifiers here in one list. And I can add the well modifier, I can add subdivision surface modifier, and I can see those modifiers. In version 4, you click and you don't see them again. Now you see categories of those modifiers, and you have to remember each category for each modifier you're looking for. Where is my well? It's here. Okay. Where is where is my subdivision? It's here. Okay. You can search if you know what to search, but people don't know what to search. Laplacian deform, for example. People don't know if they search smooth what smooth they want. Do they want some corrective smooth, Laplacian smooth, deform smooth, whatever. This is one thing I don't like in Blender 4, and there is even an add-on you can buy to have this part of Blender to look the same as it was in old version, and you have to pay for it if you want. Now you can see I add some modifiers. You can also do this. This is one of the most important modifier in Blender, often used. It's called subdivision surface. What it does this. It smooths, it adds to your basic shape, basic simple shape, it adds a lot of faces and smooths your object. Then your object looks good like this. This is the same. This is almost the same thing if I go to edit mode, choose faces, select all the faces and do subdivision. Now it's added more faces to my object, and the same thing does subdivision modifier, but it also smooths out your object. You can turn on and off modifiers. You can stack them up. You can add more. You can save them, and that's a good thing. And try to save them as much as you can, because that's non-destructive way of modeling. Because you save all these parameters and you can access them later. But at some point you will need to collapse all those modifiers and be left with just one simple mesh that has no modifiers at all, like this one. So try to keep them, try to save them. You can even duplicate your object, Shift D, and you don't have to move anything. You just press Shift D, you see, and you can press Escape if you are not Move tool. You see you duplicated your object here. Where is it? It's this one and this one. we just duplicate an object. And you can hide it. This is hiding from your view, from viewport. This is hiding from renderer. And now you have your object. You can then collapse your modifiers. You will have your object and you will have backup object. That's a good thing to do. Wait a minute. Oh, I collapsed duplicate. Okay. When you press edit mode, you can see what is your subdivision did to your object. It added new faces, new geometry, and that's why your object is now so smooth. You can also choose to add subdivision first surface to add those faces, but to keep your object sharp and simple. This is smoothing, this is simple. Smoothing, simple. That's an important part of Blender. Now, what beginners also try to do and fail, and then go to Reddit and ask for help. Beginners often want to bend things and disregarding the fact what makes the 3D object a 3D object. For example, here we have just two segments for the object height. If I delete this, now we won't have height segments at all. And people go to deform, bend. So bend is not in deform. It's not bend, it's simple deform. Generate. Okay, search simple deform. And people want to bend things, unbendable things. So you can't bend an object if it doesn't have enough segments. You need to create segments for your object, which means you need to create more faces so your object could be bent. And okay, add more segments, more faces and more edges, and do this with loop cut. Here we have loop cut. Okay, edit mode, loop cut. You can loop cut it like this, or like this. If you click once, you can move your cut on your object, and of course this little black thing will show up. Don't forget, if you disregard this dialog, go to move tool, it will go away, even you won't be able to edit it. I will do undo and do it again. I will click just once. I want this to stay, and I will add 20 segments for height. Cool. Now I don't care about that. I want to turn my bend modifier, and now my object bends. I'm sorry if it looks funny, but it's important that it bends. Now you will be a complete beginner in Blender, but you will laugh when you go to Reddit and see people are working in Blender and then they ask for help and ask why their objects don't bend. Okay, let's not forget that important thing. Details makes your object, and if you want to deform your object, it needs more details. We can try twist, and here we see we have enough segments for our object height, but we don't have enough in our object width and depth. For bend is working good. Stretch is working okay. Taper, it's taper something, okay. This is all good because we have enough segments. Let's not forget, if you want to keep these things, you can add more, you can stack more and more and more modifiers. Keep them if you think that's good. You keep them and collapse them on duplicate object. One important thing where beginners are failing when they want to bend their object. You see this axis down here. That's the origin of our 3D object. Learning immediately about that origin and where it's placed for you as a beginner will put you in advance of all other beginners. You access that origin with complicated shortcuts. I like Control Shift Alt C or Shift Control Alt C, or you just press space, and if you set your upon installation what space does, set it for search, because there are tons of Blender options you don't see in interface. You can access them in this search. So let's not forget, origin is something that is some kind of center of your object. It's not necessarily a center, it's just origin of your object. Because you type origin, you can see now set origin, okay. Set origin to where? To geometry. And it sets origin to geometry of this object. Blender thinks this is the center of this geometry. You can also do another thing. You can place cursor here, or for example here, and then you say, I want the origin of this object to be here. I want it here. It's more logical. Then you press that weird shortcut Ctrl Shift Alt C, and you choose origin to 3D cursor. So origin of this object to 3D cursor. It's not the best position, as you can see here. Oh, sorry. You probably see how I'm using this middle wheel on my mouse to rotate. I forgot to tell you that yes, you can rotate around your objects with your wheel mouse. By pressing your wheel mouse or your middle button on your mouse, or any you set it to be. You can also pan around your object by pressing the same wheel and shift. And most important thing to navigate around your scene and your object is to use numerical keyboard. This is something you will it's best for you to try to learn. Whenever you forgot, you just type in Google numerical keyboard blender views or anything like that, you will get answer. Then you will know 1 is front, 2 is rotating it, 3 is right. 1 front, 3 right, 7 is top view. Those are three views: front, left, top. That's all you need for some 3D to see some 3D object. You can also use this little thing here, and it's useful. Click to present viewport shortcut. 7. Okay. 7. We said it's top view, but we want to see bottom view. Yes, you can see bottom view too. With these little things. These things are cool. 5 is something different. 5 changes the perspective to orthography view. This is perspective view, this is orthography view. Perspective is more natural, and orthography is more unnatural. But some people like to use orthography view as well. So we covered the basics for our first complete beginner crash course. We learned about origins, Shift S, cursor to world origin. We learned about our cursor. We learned about 3D objects. We learned about modifiers. We learned how to access our 3D objects and what to do with them. We learned about vertices, edges, and faces. What we learned more? We learned that we didn't learn, but here it is. This is your scene view, parametric. You've seen all your objects here, and you see type of your objects. It's camera, it's cube. You see there is some light default here. This is camera, this is light, this is plane. This is self-explanatory. I was hoping I don't have to teach you this. It's completely self-explanatory. We learn about viewport, shaders, viewport. Let's not forget this is viewport. We learn about Eevee viewport, which is nice. We didn't try cycles, which is different and better and more precise. It calculates light properly. If you have one of those good GPUs like NVIDIA, you can turn on GPU compute. It will be much more faster. Then you can use denoise. It will look better. And if your viewport is good, and if you can see things in your viewport, you will use Blender better. You will love it even more. Okay, my way of teaching is to repeat things, and that's the best way to learn something, to repeat it. Repetition is essence of learning. And as we work, as we go together with Blender, I will repeat, and you will learn, and you will be super beginner in Blender, just like I am. I consider myself a beginner. I came from 3D Max world. I was using 3D Max for ages. I used it since its version in DOS, 3D Studio. I used 3D Studio Max 1, 2, 3, 2001, 2, and gave up eventually because now I have Blender. I learned and use Blender since its version 2.7. That's the version when Blender still had that really weird user interface. In version 2.8, Blender did revolutionary change. It moved to this interface we see today, and since then it started gaining popularity among professionals and enthusiasts and hobbyists. And started be a really good competition for commercial 3D software. And let's not forget that Todd gave this to us for free. He's a founder of Blender, a good, really nice guy. Learn about him. And don't forget, Blender is open source. If you're a programmer, you can contribute, you can make it better, you can improve it. You can also donate it to Blender. We want Blender to stay. And that's the end of our first crash beginner course on YouTube for Blender. I will continue soon, and as always, as all YouTubers say it at the end, please don't forget to like and comment and subscribe, and I will continue. That's it all for now. Bye.